Welcome to another episode of the Girl Bill podcast. I am so happy today to be sitting next to Monica Helena Moniz, who is a beautiful woman inside and out. I have to tell you, I can't wait for you all to hear about her journey and how you've transitioned from Boston to Naples. Tell our audience, what inspired you to become a motivational speaker?
I think it really comes down to this journey that I'm talking about. And I'm still on that journey, and I think a lot of us are still on a journey.
Right.
And we never know what could happen from one day to the next.
Right.
One of the greatest sayings that my uncle says is, sufficient for each day is its own anxiety. So looking at the present moment and the time you're in, there are so many things that we go through in life, and learning from those examples and the things that we go through and having all these different hats, it really helps you kind of intentionally know your life and where it's going to go. And I want to share that with people.
Right.
I want to give that light. And one of the women that I spoke with, who I worked with about 20 years ago in the insurance industry, she actually became a life coach. And it was because of her that truly was the example and that motivation. And I saw how much happier she was, and I wanted to just get a taste of what that was. And that really encouraged me to do that.
Interesting. So you said your journey. What exactly is your journey?
I feel that a lot of times people look at faith and their culture and how they were raised. They look at perhaps the childhood trauma of what they went through growing up. We all have different ways of how we were brought up because of all those segments. And when those things help mold you as you grow older, you do them because it's based upon what you were taught and what you only know based upon how you evolved with those teachings. When you make the truth your own, when you do the research and you actually look up faith, well, why do I believe this? Is it because my parents told me about it? Or do I believe it? Or when it comes down to culture, do I embrace my culture? Why do they do the things they do? Do I really like that culture? I remember there was a time I didn't want to be part of my culture. It was loud and crazy. I wanted to be another culture, and I'm like, okay. And so it just shows you how each one of us have our own mentality of how we want to be.
Right.
And I think since that is the case, it's okay to do that. It's okay to have change and evolve. And that's kind of how this started, was really researching each segment of my life and understanding, well, why am I doing this?
Right.
What is this for? What's the purpose of this? And I think that's how it kind of started my pick your purpose journey, and wanting to share with people that each one of our journeys are unique to our own individuality. But at the same time, don't be ashamed of it.
Right.
Don't be afraid to be who you are. Be authentic. And that's my message.
Absolutely. I love that. I think that is so important. And you touch on a couple of things, being authentic. It's like being a one of a kind, right? You don't want to just be common. And I always say to certain people, I'm like, you're just common. Where I came from, there's so many common people. You want to be extraordinary. You want to be authentic. It's just so important because you definitely stand out. Like when I first met you and you were with your family, I was like, wow, this family is beautiful. You know what I mean? You guys stood out. You had a poise. You had a way about you. I'm very open, but it's contagious and people want to get to know you, right? So it's very, very important to be authentic and to be on the journey of faith, which is very dear to my heart. Something that it's my foundation. Every single day I wake up, and that's the first thing that I give thanks to, the fact that I am able in the position to give glory to the person that I believe is important, which is God in my life, so it's great that when people acknowledge that, and I feel as though a lot of people who do acknowledge that, then their journey is so much more productive, or that you see a vision, you see how things are moving along for them so much better. You also touched on your family. That is a funny way of thinking about it, because sometimes you're like, oh my God, I'm a part of this family. What is happening? Because you can't pick your family. You are given your family, but you can pick your friends. And I've learned over the years that I've picked some really nice people in my life that I consider to be family. But that's an interesting way of looking at it. And what's your nationality?
I'm a Azorean, but I did do a DNA test recently to find out, am I truly all 100% Azorean? And it said 97%.
What's
So,
Azorean?
so that is Portuguese.
Ah.
So I say Azorean. It's not really what they call it. It is Portuguese. I'm
Okay.
not from Portugal, the
Okay.
actual continent. So I'm from the islands. So if you
Oh,
look at
beautiful.
Cristiano Ronaldo, he's from Madeira. That's an island.
Oh, okay.
They don't, say he's from Portugal. He's actually from Madeira.
Okay.
So my family, being born and raised in the islands of Saint Michael.
Oh, okay.
That's what we are.
That's
So
beautiful.
I call it Azorean.
Oh, wow.
So that's 97%. Then I found out I was 2% North African Moroccan,
Okay.
and then 1% Senegal. So
Interesting.
yeah, I've got a little bit of
So you have
ethnicity.
that you have you have that exotic
Yeah.
flavor. That's
Yes,
beautiful.
yes,
Wow.
yeah.
You could see it all in your beauty. You're just beautiful. So I noticed on your platform you are so motivating and inspiring and uplifting to everyone. I love it. I mean, you have these like really great motivational quotes, like in your stories, and some are faith related. But I did notice one thing, like, you don't have a lot of information about your family, which is, they're absolutely beautiful. I mean, is there any reason why, or?
I adore my family. I love my family. There was actually a point in time that I put too much information out there about my family. So I decided about a year and a half ago to really protect my energy. There is so much negativity out there, and the whole point of my platform is that light and positive aspect. So for me, I kind of have a tiny bit of that twist in that old school way where if you want to get to know me more on that level, then you pick up your phone, you call me, you text me, you email me, and I am more than happy to show those photos and that personal side of me. But the point of my platform, not to get confused, is to be just that light and that motivation. I want it to be just on what it is that I've gone through personally that will help somebody else. And even if it's only just one person, I am so touched when I get these random DMs or messages or even emails that say, hey, I have a story and I'm not doing too well and I could use some advice.
Oh,
That's what I'm all about. I'm not here to become famous, to make a buck.
right.
I'm here actually to literally give my story so that I can help other people maybe that need to relate or just need that extra encouragement. Because I'll tell you something, there are days that I get up and I don't want to go and give my 60 to 120 second speech on that phone. There are days that people behind the scenes don't know about.
Right.
But there are days that I actually replay myself,
Right.
and they give me this motivational affirmation that I
Right.
just feel good,
Right.
that I did good for others, but as well for myself, and I take that to myself.
Right. That's awesome. To be that light or to be that inspiration for someone else, that's what it's all about. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start the platform Girl Build, so that I can empower other women. You're doing it on a whole, women and men, but just to be that light, right? Because sometimes they need a light to light up their pathway to success or anything that they're going through. So to be that, motivation or that inspiration, I mean, I really think that's awesome. And to protect your own space, it's so important, Monica. Like, I get what you're saying. Not everybody needs to know everything. I even have sometimes my family or my sister, she goes, no one even knows I'm your sister. I'm like, I'm sorry, if they know me, they will know that you are my sister. I don't need to go and broadcast that you are my sister. I love you, don't get me wrong, but I'm not like showy like that, and there's certain times that I will like put my family out there. Like I put my family, my mom just turned 80, I did that.
Yeah,
But
I love
sometimes,
those photos.
oh, thank you. But sometimes you want to show because you're
Yes,
proud,
yes,
right? But then
yes.
sometimes you just don't need to.
Yes,
Like, no
and-
one needs to know all that.
That's part of the journey I had to discover was validation. In
Yeah.
time, I had to always kind of show somebody what I was doing. If I was going, let's say on a Sunday to church, I'm sending those photos or videos of my kids dressed up to certain family members or certain people to show that I went. But why did I have to show that to them?
Right.
What did I need to validate if
Right.
I was there or wasn't there?
Exactly.
This is where you have to really seek within yourself, why do I have to constantly give an explanation? We should be able to wake up, do what we need to do, not to people please, not to do something for another reason, but because we truly deep down inside, this is what I want to do. This is who I want to be.
This is who I am.
Yes, and
Do you know what I
it's
mean?
part of the journey, and I find that it's great. And I'm not saying that nobody shouldn't have that, because I admire a lot of people that post their personal life on it. And
Yeah.
I think that's great because that's what they really show their light and joy about. This is my family. They're proud of, and I think
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah.
I think everyone should also do that as well.
Yeah.
Mine is just coming from a different standpoint of that protection again, of that space, and doing this more of a healing
Yeah.
to others. And then the other side of it, that's still there too for people to know. You just got to ask me to hang out and do some things outside of that.
Right. That's awesome. I love that. So if you were to see yourself, or if you were to give advice to your younger self, what advice would you give, and how would you embrace that younger self about self-love?
I think the song that comes to mind is the lyrics from that one of Bruno Mars, Just the Way You Are.
Oh, I love that song. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I remember when that came out, that was like a pivotal
Yeah.
high point for me, because the words and the lyrics, really listening to it. Growing up,
I love you just the way
yes.
you are. My eyes, your eyes.
Yeah, I wish I'm playing that right now. That song just really hit home, because growing up, my family is just very aesthetically good looking. They just are very well put together, and the things that they have, and it was always such a beautiful thing. But at the same time, it also is a poison in some respects, because it makes you feel like you have to be something at all times.
Right.
Because perfectionism comes out. And being
Right.
the oldest girl of, 4 other sisters, and I have
Really?
an older brother, that was wild for me, because you had to always be the responsible one. You had
Yeah.
to be the mother. You had to
too.
be. So you had all these different responsibilities on your mind and on your head, and you're like, oh my gosh,
Right.
do I really have to be this perfect all the time? And that was just internally. But what about externally now? Now you look in the mirror and you're like, well, I wish I kind of looked like that aunt, or maybe I dressed more like this one. And then you look at social media now too, especially
Yeah.
as time has gone on and developed. Wait a minute. Why am I really doing this to myself? Why am I
Right.
constantly picking at myself? So as a teen, I seem to always have that problem where I didn't think I was enough.
Really?
Not just on the outward appearance, inward appearance. It was just never enough.
Do you see this girl's face? Look at her. Look at it.
It came a long time.
How
long
could
time.
you feel like that? That's insane to me.
Yeah, that just comes down to just kind of feeling that void of
Maybe
yeah.
self-confidence.
Yeah, I would say definitely for sure self-confidence was one of those.
It's just
Yeah.
it's interesting to me because I worked in the modeling industry for over 31 years, and I was working along so many gorgeous women, and it really is something that plays on the mind of some people where they really don't feel that they are good enough or that they look great enough, or it boggles my mind. I mean, literally, even a lot of the younger girls that I work alongside, like they're already starting to do Botox. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you look perfect. Like, I'm old.
No, you are
older.
not. Oh.
And I mean, I haven't done anything yet, physically to my face or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I'm just like boggled because I don't know. I feel like there's so many beautiful women out there, and like whatever goes through their mind. And that's one of the things about social media. It's so damaging because women do like see themselves as other women, or they want to be this person. And meanwhile, like if you look at yourself in the mirror, you are just so good enough, like just the way you are.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just the way you are.
Yeah.
So talking about, loving yourself just the way you are, I know that you had like a couple of bad experiences with a little bit of cosmetic surgery. Like, do you mind talking about that or touching on that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. That's probably one of the biggest reasons why I started to do a healing journey was due to that. Not feeling that enough factor. A lot of it dealt with when I got pregnant. When I had 2 kids. The first one, he was actual normal birth, and he was a big boy. The second, she was a cesarean.
Okay.
So as you can imagine, when you become a mom, our bodies, we're superwomen. They can go right back to where it came from, but there's a lot of things that happen in warrior tears that we get, whether it's the stretch marks, whether it's the breasts. I breastfed my daughter for up until she was 2. I had one that was larger than the other.
Oh my God.
I looked deformed. So
did I.
Could you
It's
imagine?
awful.
It just made me, even if I already have that lack of confidence.
Yeah.
Now I really am looking in the mirror and going, wow, I look lopsided at this point. How can I get myself together now? So I started searching and reaching out and saying it wasn't so much about the aesthetics of wanting to be a better somebody. I just wanted to be Monica, but just kind of spruce Monica up a little bit so that she could feel more confident because of what happened being a mom in motherhood. So again, the breast was the first. The breast was, I went to the doctor. They were like, do you want to lift? I'm like, no, I don't want any of that. I don't want it to look like I'm just,
Yeah. Have my bruise up to my chin.
I just want to just, and they said, well, since you're not going to do a lift, you might want to go a little bit more larger on your size just so that it can elevate it to go up higher since you're not doing it. And I also didn't like the fact that I was going to get more scarring. That was really getting me nervous. So I went ahead and did that. I also had a bump on my nose when I was a teen that I accidentally got like whacked here. And I almost had like this little like bump, and I couldn't stand that bump. All my siblings don't have a bump, but I had the bump. So I tried doing some of that rhinoplasty to remove the bump. So I didn't formally change my whole nose. I just kind of got rid of that bump from an accident. And then there were other things with my body after having my daughter with the cesarean. The stomach, I've always had a very flat stomach, always a lot more thicker in the hips and thighs. But in the stomach area.
That's the Latin part of it.
Yes, it certainly is. And I've learned to embrace that through this time period. But I just wanted to shave them off half the time. And the stomach, having that it was flat, it just felt that I had an upside down smiley face belly button. And I had this not so much loose skin. I didn't really have loose skin.
It was a hoagie.
I
know exactly, because I had a cesarean with my second, and it became a hoagie. I was like, what is this?
Yes.
And it doesn't go away.
It doesn't. And seeing how technology has advanced, and these different doctors with their platforms, they're amazing. And I'm like, wow, there's so many magicians out there that can just make you look back to normal. Check out these models, And I went to a doctor in Miami and said a little bit about that. Like, I don't like how my hips are a little too large. Can you shave some of this off here, remove it? Maybe put a little bit more here from that, but it's all mine. There's no fake aesthetics that was put into me as far as any type of like, plastic parts.
Right.
None of that happened.
Right.
But can you also kind of tighten maybe a little bit of this muscle here in my stomach and do some lipo there so it doesn't look. So in my mind, after visiting and seeing these doctors, they said, no problem, we got this covered. And went in, it was during COVID, came out, and I remember healing through that journey and constantly looking in the mirror saying, they did say 6 months to a year, it still doesn't look right. I actually look worse than I did before.
Oh, wow.
And as time went on, there were parts of my skin that would change in color. And
really?
Parts of my body that just started getting lumpier. And that really worried me. And when I called them back to see what they could do for me, they claimed that they couldn't really do much other than have me go back under. And I mean, that's great and dandy, even if it's free and I'm just paying for the anesthesiologist to go back under. But did I really want to go through that again?
Right.
How would I know if I'm coming back out of that alive?
Right.
This is, again, a traumatic experience, and doing it within a year is a lot.
Yeah.
And I know some women that go through these surgeries and they do it within a few times.
They do.
And it's a very scary process. So I got a second opinion. And the doctor that I saw was Dr. Pasquale Tolomeo in Fall River, Massachusetts. And he took a look and was the most honest doctor I've ever met, because this guy could have taken all my money and said, we got to fix that. That looks wrong. He wasn't. He was like, that, you look fine. That's gravity. Things are going to happen. No, if you want, we could do like a mommy makeover and do a tummy tuck and do all sorts of things. And I'm just looking at him and just seeing big scars. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work. No.
Wow.
So he said, well, then we'll just stick to that lipo 360, etch your obliques out a little bit there, kind of make that tighter and, tighten up that skin. I think you're going to be fine. Then we're not going to go ahead and just go crazy on you. I'm like, that would be great. Just get me back to normal from the mistake that happened, that what was wrong with me to even think that way. So he saved my life, because once he did that, and he took out what should never have even been touched. As I healed, I did get minor fibrosis. And that also made me think, wow, within that time span of a year, getting all these surgeries done can do a number on your body. Your body's trying to go back to normal.
It's trauma.
Total trauma. And so now I have to go to somebody else that he tells me to see, which is Dr. Cajeda, and he is in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. He is with the company Blurred Lines. Owner, and it's a wonderful med spa, and they do Morpheus 8 and Evolve. And what this is it's not a machine that you're going under. This is a machine that you're fully awake. They do some things to help, any of the pain, to ease it. And you're taking your own collagen and you're microneedling your skin and pulling up your collagen and just transforming that skin back to like that baby skin, coming back to life. It's so cool how the technology has advanced.
Yeah.
You know, you're paying a little bit in, but in the end, again, you're feeling better about yourself and you're seeing how things are healing. And then I'm finally going, I look like I did before I had kids, or I'm starting to feel like, okay, I look better now. I'm not trying to augment myself as somebody else. I just want to be me, but I want to feel happy with me. But then I realized as that journey was happening, there's more than just the external. It's the internal. And this is where it changes me now, and I go into the life coaching friends that I've had and changed into that mindset.
That's a hell of a story. I mean, no, really. I mean, do you feel like you've healed emotionally?
For sure. I'm still on this journey right now as we speak. But from where I was and where I am now, I looked at a photo of myself that was actually posted today from a great photographer, Josh Adams, in Fall River, Massachusetts. He did a lot of confident social photo shots of who I was. And a lot of them, you know, with any photo guy, he's going to kind of clean it up and make it look good. But I look at the way I was and how I was thinking at that point to recent photos that I did with Andy Dawn Photography here in Naples, Florida. And I'm like, wait a minute. I feel so much more confident and powerful as a woman now than I did a year ago with this photo. And I just felt it because I knew my confidence was at its lowest point, and where the transformativeness, you always want to feel good from the outside, but the inside so much more. And that should never be like lost in translation as a woman. You know, I think that's something that's always getting, you know, brought behind. And I'm not saying surgery is bad. I think if you want to do it, go for it.
Right.
I think just make sure you do your homework and like know who you're going to.
Exactly.
And make sure that you find out they're insured. State of Florida? You kidding me? I didn't know. This doctor in Miami that I had went to originally, he wasn't professionally insured for medical malpractice. I had no idea.
So in the state of Florida, they don't have medical malpractice?
A lot of them are not required to carry that. So
Are you kidding
they
me?
kind of dodge the bullet. A lot of them come from other countries or wherever they're from, and they do their own thing and have their degree. But just because you have a title or a degree doesn't mean that you're really that great at what you do and you're really covered when something gets to happen to go down. So that's another part of it too, is you got to do it. Do your homework.
Do your homework.
Know who's going to be, you know, working on you. And I definitely would do the other way around. Work on that inner first before the external, and then go and see, do I really need that? Or maybe I don't.
So you talk about, you know, embracing yourself and really, truly loving yourself. What type of advice can you give to other women who are going through that their confidence levels are low and so forth? Because, you know, it is an issue. It's a problem for a lot of women. And the journey is real. So give a little insight into embracing and having that self-love.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things was understanding our human body and our psychology, the way we breathe, what we eat. You know, they say you actually look like what you eat. It's pretty true. You're getting junk in you, you're gonna be looking like that. So taking care of us physically when it comes to the wellness of whether it's going to the gym, you know, doing those Pilates, yoga classes, the breathing. Do any of us really stop and think and say, how often do I do breathing, you know, methods? I mean, I remember hearing this from my life coach, and I'm like, a breathing method? Like, what do you mean?
Right.
And because coming from the East Coast, I know you can relate.
Yeah.
We are just on that fast paced. We have no patience.
None.
Biggest fault I have, number one, is that I
Me too.
have no patience whatsoever. And I've learned to have that here in Florida, very much so. So I'm very grateful for that. Thank you very much. But I also find that because people have that fast pace, and sometimes you don't realize it, when you're breathing, the more you breathe normally with our oxygen in and out, that's great. But when you're really taking a deep breath after having maybe something that upset you, it actually takes about 2 hours after you've been upset and you've projected being upset for that to really go away, that feeling. So there are ways that you can actually breathe. There's so many methods online, and it's only going to take you 5 to 10 minutes. and just do some of these breathings and physically see yourself doing that. It's almost going in line with meditation when you're breathing. And as you're doing that, by the time you're done, I think you've sped up that 2-hour process and you just feel better. So just stopping, taking a minute, that's important. Self-talk. Even though I do those highlights and those morning positive affirmations for everyone, I look back at those all the time for myself. That self-talk actually helps me. Yeah. The whole point is to help other people, but it's actually helping me because I'm like, that's right.
Yeah.
Let me remember that cue, Monica. You've got that. You need to keep that in mind, and that memory is mind over matter. It really helps me.
Yeah.
And again, eating a little bit better, drinking more water, being near the ocean where it's sunny.
Yeah.
I've learned. I used to just materially go out with my kids to have fun, and we'd go to Dave and Buster's and go bowling, and it was spending money all the time.
Right.
No, going to the beach, picking shells. Like, that's my new favorite thing. Like, we're picking shells off the floor. We're collecting them. Mom, this one's whole. This one's great. Look at this one. Learning the different names and just nature. Being amongst nature, that balances you. Those are the things, because we're living in such a fast-paced, technological environment, that we don't just stop.
Yeah.
That's key, is we need to do that more often.
That's so important and so true. I feel like being here in Florida, you do take a step back and you can breathe a little bit more. You can appreciate the beauty around you because there's not a whole bunch of commotion around you. And it's important. Like, every morning I wake up and I feel happy because of the sun. And it's truth behind that, like, to be able to wake up and to feel the warmth or just to see the sunshine, it puts a smile on your face. And it makes me want to do more. You know what I mean? You get motivated because you feel like, life is beautiful. Knowing that it's not. Like, when I'm back up north, I'm like, oh my God, the hustle, the bustle, it's real. And I feel the weight. I feel like clouded. Like, I feel like I feel like I can't be productive because there's so much smog around me and just like filth.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I agree
and
with
so
you, yes.
it's so true in what you're saying, and I need to breathe more because I am so frustrated all the time and I want everything done. Boom, boom, boom. My kids can attest to that. They are so annoyed with me on most days because I'm like, hurry up. And they're looking at me like, why does it have to be right now? You know what I mean? And it's just like, just the way I'm wired. But we are wired that way, But I think that, listening to you and being in the business of wanting to always be in the forefront and, this is who I am. People see me through what because I was a model and everything, and people see you. When they don't really know you as the inner person and they don't get to know you, they don't know anything about you, right? Then they pass judgment. And that is like the biggest thing or the biggest obstacle. Like, and then when people, they're like, wow, I didn't know you were like that. You didn't take the time to find out. Do you know what I mean?
I can agree with you on that.
And so there's so much to be said about that. And the fact that we are in a society where we feel as though that it's all about aesthetics. Even in my business, making a home, designing it. A house isn't a home until you have the people in it to occupy it, to make it a home, right? But me visually, I'm given a platform, or I'm giving them this, this space so that they can really paint the picture. They have this blank canvas based on my finishes and my touches. So now they can go in and now they can really make this home something special, right? It's the same thing within ourselves. Like, the fact of the matter is that we have this facade, we come across as beautiful people, but then when you get to know us, our inner beauty exudes more, you know what I mean? And that is just so important. And women need to find out, women and men, but women particularly, they need to really dig deep and realize how special they really are
Yes.
Like no one
Yes.
is seeing you the way that you see yourself.
Exactly.
No one.
Exactly. And that's honestly what attracted me when I was meeting with you.
Yeah.
I feel that we were on that same vibe and
Yeah.
frequency.
Yeah.
And how important it is to really get to know someone
Right.
more. And
More.
the fact that I saw what you did, and I love this platform that you've come up with, and how you're really empowering women, and you do it in the comfort here.
Yeah.
That is just your home. It's just a beautiful concept, because that's where the organic,
Yes.
authentic self of who you are comes out. But at the same time, people see a little bit, you're opening your life to
Yeah.
these people to see who you truly are.
Right.
And that is where I seem to gravitate now towards,
Right.
is those authentic people, the
Right.
ones that are really showing who they are. And when it comes to the aesthetics of the world, again, nothing wrong. You know, you don't wear makeup, good for you. You're a
Right.
natural beauty. I love that. But I love art, and I
Yeah.
think our faces are canvases, and I
Yes.
love putting makeup on, not because I feel like I'm ugly without it.
Yeah.
I can put no makeup on one day. I can put makeup less one day. I'll put a lot more that day.
Yeah.
But it's because I enjoy putting it on. I think
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah.
And that's our personality. That's
Yes.
our artisticness about us. And then again, that's the uniqueness. And if everyone just kind of, again, slow down, gave everybody that opportunity and that chance, and
Yes.
seeing that, again, don't judge that book by its cover.
Don't.
See that there's so much more to the soul of that person's story or their experience and how it can help you.
Completely.
Exactly.
That is
Yeah.
exactly a very good point. So you mentioned book. So I know you are not completely done, but you're in the process
Yeah.
of developing a book.
Yes,
You
yes.
want to touch on that a little
Yeah,
bit?
just I want to really bring out more in depth, again, Monica's journey.
Right.
And I think hearing it so many times from a third party sense on myself, I do leave out a lot of detail out for various reasons. There's that protection again.
Yeah.
But in the book, there's really no protection there. I think in the book, as I'm still healing and going through that journey, there's a little bit more in those details you're going to hear in this
Right.
book. And I really want to give that full picture, because there really is nothing to hide. There is nothing, because at the end of the day, it is your journey. Again, it's not the destination. It is the journey. And that's
I
something
love
I
that.
definitely want to leave, with anyone to hear when they ask, what's your favorite quote? That's it.
Yeah, I love it.
That journey, no matter where I live or where I'm at what point in time, I would never, if someone asked me, would you change your life today knowing what you know now? My answer is absolutely not. I would still do it all over again, back from the very beginning, because that is what made me who I am.
Yeah.
Just,
That's
I
great.
wouldn't do it.
Oh, wow. So that was a great segue. You said that if you could do it all over again, you would do it again. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's the testament to who you are. You have grit. You're beautiful. You're successful. Inspirational and motivational. I think that just is beautiful in so many ways. So you definitely wear a lot of hats, as we said in the beginning. Are there any other things that you're working on?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Touching more on that motivational speaking part, I want to continue that with Pick My Purpose or
Yeah.
Pick Your Purpose.
Right.
That's so important to me.
Right.
That others will be able to do that on my podcast, and to understand that everyone's journey is important just as yours is, and something we can always take away from each other
Right.
is that. And I want to continue talking about that path. That's
Right.
extremely important to me. I also feel that my secular job, it doesn't just take a backseat as well. It's helped me doing the insurance that I've done on the commercial side.
Okay.
Property and
didn't
casualty.
we didn't really touch on that. So
Yeah, I mean, it is my job. That is what helps me pay the bills.
Right.
But it doesn't take a backseat, because right now it just transitioned recently into something that is inspiring me.
Right.
And what the company needed is there's a midwife plan program that they needed for someone to give the medical malpractice
Oh.
insurance to these midwives, doulas, surgeons, physicians, birth centers,
Wow.
med spa owners.
Oh, wow.
How the story kind of all correlates. That now I
Yeah.
get to ensure the safety net for people, because a lot of people are not informed right now about what their policies cover, what their coverages are. Until an actual calamity happens. And it's sad to say, but it takes that journey to happen until you finally realize, I need this. So
Right.
being able to share that as well with people, I am really looking forward. I
That's
love
great.
the gift of life. I think the gift of life is a beautiful thing. Being a mom and having 2 kids, I think
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Isn't it?
And I just want to continue, spreading that light and being amongst those that want to spread that with me. And I think you're definitely one of them. So I'm so excited you have me here.
Thank you. I am so happy to have you here too. And thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. I hope that a lot of women that are listening can really, become inspired and motivated by your message. And thank you so much for today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.